Good day everyone. In this video, I am going to talk about disease management in organic vegetable production. So before I start, let me introduce what is disease management. So disease management is one of the critical activities in crop production system. So disease management in organic production should be designed according to principle so as to minimize the occurrence of disease problems.
What is plant disease? A plant disease can be defined as any abnormal change in the plant toward reduced vigor, growth, color of foliage, fruit development and yield, and poor quality produce. Symptoms such as wilting, yellowing, stunting, spotting, and even death of a plant. There are two broad categories of plant diseases. First, infectious diseases are those that can be transmitted from one plant to another. Second, non-infectious diseases, which are called plant disorders, cannot be transmitted. So, klaro na kayo siya, no need to explain na. Causes of plant diseases. Plant diseases are caused by living biotic agents called pathogens, fungi, bacteria, viruses, and nematodes. So later, ako rin siya i-discuss. Plant diseases are also caused by non-living abiotic agents or physiological disorders. It's caused by environmental factors such as nutrient deficiencies, moisture excess or deficit, extreme high and low temperature, improper cultural practices, and improper pH. So it means dili ra siya about pathogens sa fungi or any living biotic agents. It's also about kung dili tambok ang soil or ang plant na-over ang temperature or na-over pod ang water nga na-gain sa plant, mao pod na ang another reasons of plant disease. Pathogen characteristics and spread. Number 1, fungi are simple plants commonly called molds. They obtain their food from plants that they attacked or from decaying organic matter in the soil. Magkadugay ang fungi sa plant, mas mo-spread siya. Nakabantay mo anang plant nga na imutubo nga kutuni-kutuni sa palibot niya, so mo na siya. Mycelium or hypha, vegetative growth thread-like fungi. Fungi are responsible for majority of plant diseases. Fungi also is makasurvive sa bisan unsa nga weather. So, fungal disease symptoms are dumping off, root rot, wilt, leaf spots, blights, mildews, rust. I-discuss report na ako ano siya later ang mga symptoms. So, number 2, bacteria are very small one-cell organisms that can only be seen through microscope. So, I know nga familiar tani tanan. They often multiply by cell division, splitting themselves into two. They need wounds on plants to incite disease development. So, makagain rapod ang plant o bacteria if ang plant na ay samad. Makaspread po ang bacteria sa other plant through rainwater, running water, insects, animals, farm equipment, and also as people. So, bacteria disease symptoms are soft rots, wilt, scabs, canker, and leaf spots. Number 3, viruses are even smaller than fungi and bacteria. So, viruses need a host tissue for food and reproduction. So, dili ma-recognize ang virus kung virus itself lang. So, need good siya og host para ma-recognize and para maka-reproduce, then maka-grain og food sa plant kung asa siya mitapot. So, viral diseases may take long time to be recognized or identified, as often the only effect on the crops is a gradual loss of vigor. So, ang virus dili kayo siya ma-recognize because dili ra kayo grabe ang effect sa plant, like ang symptoms niya is mosaic lang, light green, yellow, or white mingled with normal green, receding, short and bushy growth, ring spot, leaf curling, and stunted growth. Number 4, nematodes are tiny, slender, and thread-like roundworms about 1 mm long, which are usually present in large numbers in the soil. Feeding habits of nematodes vary depending on the species, and they have a life cycle like insects with eggs and several larval stages. Nematodes do not cause rotting of roots but facilitate the entry of root rot organisms through punctures they make. Ang pagkaon sa nematodes is ang root plants. If iyang kanon ang root, din ang plant maglisod og absorb og water and nutrients. So mao nang hinay kayo ang tubo sa plant dayon na apoy possibility nga diri mosulod ang mga viruses or bacteria sa nematodes. Development of plant diseases. So, a plant disease develops as product of the combined interactions between the causal pathogen, the host plant, and their environment. So, gitawag ni siya og disease triangle. So, parehas sa akong giingon ganiha, disease will occur only when the pathogen interacts with the susceptible host under favorable conditions. The presence of pathogen alone is not sufficient to cause disease. So, ang pathogen nagneed gyud siya og susceptible host para mo-exist or makahasik ng lagim, but mas madaghan siya if ang environment kung asa ang plant favor sa pathogen. Diagnosing plant diseases. Diagnosis is the identification of a plant disease through its characteristic symptoms, signs, and other factors related to disease progress. So, diagnosis plant diseases is difficult because we cannot see the causal organisms. The following are suggested steps that can be used to diagnose problems in the field. So, number 1, examine the distribution of the disease in the field and identify the infected plants. So, ilailahon kung asa ang mga infected plants o i-observe kung giunsa pud nila pag-distribute sa disease. So, number 2, examine and observe the symptoms and signs. Number 3, if diseases are very common in the area are known, then the symptoms and sign observed may be typical of one of those problems. If kung dili pud first time nga naay disease imong plant or sa imong silingan, so possible nga infected imo nga ato nga disease. So number 4, if the problem is not one of those ever present common diseases, then research can be conducted, and if wala, then research. So once familiar with the symptoms caused by different pathogens, following the diagnosis process may no longer be needed. So if familiar, so wala na, okay na siya. If a serious disease problem in the farm is observed and cannot be diagnosed, then private and government technicians or contact specialists from state universities near the area. If wala gid kay clue on sa siya, then contact dayon ka og mga specialist. Disease management practices. Control measures to prevent the incidence of disease is to reduce the amount of inoculum that initiates and spreads the disease and to minimize the loss. So, plant disease management practices that may be used by organic growers can be divided into 2 general approaches. Number 1, strategic practices are primarily aimed at preventing disease problems in the whole farm system. So, number 2, tactical practices can be curative or preventative and aimed at specific disease and crop combinations, usually to anticipate serious crop loss that may occur. Strategic and preventive practices to promote soil fertility. Plants suffering from nutrient deficiencies are weak and likely candidates for disease infection. So para dili candidate ang imong plants, then maintain an abundant supply of organic matter such as compost in the soil and apply traditional fertilizers according to the need of the plants as indicated by plant growth or soil test. So dili na over ang temperature, ang water, and the nutrients para okay ang tubo sa plants. So a plant grown in a balanced way in a soil that has sufficient organic matter is less susceptible to diseases. The next, use of resistant varieties. So, plant varieties differ in their susceptibility to pathogens. So, as a farmer po, dapat kabalo po ka mamili og variety of plant na kana po na ability nga mo resist og mga diseases. So, several points to remember in making the best use of resistance in avoiding disease problems. Select cultivars with resistance to the disease common in the farm. Collect seed only from the healthiest and most vigorous varieties that naturally resist or tolerate disease infection. So, ingon ako ganiha. Check cultivars recommended for the area because plant resistance works better in some localities than in others. So, i-kuan po nimo siya nga, okay ba siya nga itanam dala sa imong farm? Okay ba ang environment, ang heat, ug ang unsa ba nga klase nga land. So as much as possible, refrain from using hybrid. So instead, use traditional indigenous breed of plants that are genetically varied and thus less susceptible to fungal infection. Promote biodiversity. Biodiversity is the sum of species in a given area. Mixture of varieties, intercropping, and companion planting using different crop species and herbs. Increase the complexity and diversity that benefit disease management in the farm. So tolerating at least some weeds can be important for promoting diversity within crops.
Practice crop rotation. So rotation is done by growing crops in different parts of the farm each year. So lahi-lahi siya, lahi karon nga plant or lahi na pagman og harvest, lahi na pod. So a sound rotation can help promote the health of plants and help them resist the attacks of plant pathogens. Then also makahelp pod siya kapag pagpatambok sa soil. So crop rotation also has a direct biofungal effect on causal organisms. So, practice hygiene and sanitation. Good sanitation is a crucial step in keeping most pests under control. So, mapud na siya. So, disinfect runners between cuts when working among diseased plants. Removing crop debris and destruction of diseased plants help prevent spread of disease. So, ang hanapan mo mga tools kay imong ginagamit sa imong o kung sa bagay mo sa imong plants, din dapat po siya nga naka-sanitize po kay basin mo po na gud na siya ang reason po nga makaspread ang disease through po sa equipment sa tools sa imong mga plants. Tactical management or intervention against diseases. Cultural practices. Various cultural practices can be adapted to manage specific pathogen. Some ways that may be useful in organic vegetable production systems are manipulating the time of sowing and crop density. So shallow sowing of seeds, so preparing raised beds and mulches. Time of weeding can also be important. Manual removal of diseased tissues of plants. Next is biological control. Use of friendly microorganisms to control plant pathogens. The aim of biological control is to shift the balance of competition between the pathogen and the crop in favor of the crop. So, makatabang po ani niya is i-raise mo ang level sa imong organic matter. So, chemical control. It covers the application of a diverse range of products, normally in liquid form and based on natural plant products, compost teas from vermicompost, manure-based compost, and inorganic salt. So the use of organic sprays extracted from plants, horticultural oil, and soft soap are used against the vector of viral diseases such as aphids, whiteflies, and thrips. Recognizing disease of vegetables. So, crucifers and lettuce. So, nabilong ang cabbage, cauliflower, pichay, mustard, and broccoli. So, number 1 is dumping off disease. So, causal fungi niya is ano siya. So, other host niya is tomato, eggplant, pepper, cucurbits, and beans. So, symptoms is na siya na 2 types, dumping off and observe. Ang pre-emergence o ang post-emergence dumping off. Ang pre-emergent is seed pa lang siya is nataptan. So, the pathogen enters through the seed coat and cause rotting, especially after seed has imbibed water. So, post-emergence is so naa siya lesions sa soil surface sa seedling. Maunang maluya siya dayon dili makasupport sa plant, dayon napoy possible na ang plant is mamatay. So, saan man siya pag-manage? So, the fungal pathogen favors wet weather. So, dapat ang imong soil is dry. Then, dapat na siya kanang sand sa ilalom kay para ang iyang water is dili siya magpabilin sa base sa seedling. So, disinfect seedbed soil by heat treatment after sowing the seeds. So, dapat spread nimo siya uniformly ang seedbeds pod para dili pod siya magka-contaminate. So, water the seedbed only in the morning so that the soil is dry at night. So, tinganaon to siya. Number 2, downy mildew. So, causal fungus niya is kani. So, symptoms and signs. Most prevalent in humid conditions, especially during rainy season. So, the distinct feature of the disease is the production of white growth directly below the area, mostly on the underside of the spot. So, nakita ninyo sa example. So, a yellow rectangularly shaped area appears on the upper side of the leaf where sporulation occurs. So, cauliflower and broccoli floral heads develop dark brown internal streaks. So, ang management niya use resistant tolerant cultivars of crucifers and other. Mo siya yung pag-manage. Okay, number 3, Alternaria leaf spot. So, causal fungus niya. So, ang symptoms is also known as black spot gray or black mold. So, kung nakita nyo sa example mo siya. So, management. So, plant resistant or tolerant varieties to reduce disease incidence or use pathogen-free seed in the management of the disease and follow. So, number 4, weed blight. So, causal fungus niya.
Symptoms and signs. So early infections are seen as threads of microscopic, colorless hyphae growing across the undersides of leaves. Wala siya nagbangag-bangag or na siya black spots. So manage siya. So practice solarization of soil by laying sheet of clear plastic over the moistened area for few weeks. So kato siyang warag na siya plastic na lingin-lingin sa tunga. So muna to siya. Or mag-mulch ka o grass straw to prevent splashing of soil into the leaves, especially during rainy season. So urag niya mga to nagyapon siya ang pag-process. So number 5, club root. So causal fungus niya is makita ninyo sa screen. So symptoms niya is enlargement of fine roots, secondary roots, and top roots. So resulting in the formation of spindle-shaped club. So ang example makita siya So management is para siya sa uban nga use resistant or tolerant cultivars and adapted cultivars. So use of disease-free seedlings. So kinahanglan gid siya nga kanang kabalo gid ka mamili as a farmer, kabalo ka mamili og katong mga disease-free nga seedlings. So number 6, sooty mold. So causal fungus niya is siya. So symptoms. This fungus feeds on insects, honeydew that drip on the surfaces of leaves and fruit. So siya wala siya kanabitong na kuanan sa fire. So management. So apply organic sprays and horticultural oil to reduce the population of aphids and whiteflies. So practice companion planting. So mao na ni siya. So katong wala gipahimo po nato ni ma'am nga katong mga FFP, so to FPJ ni ato, pwede po siya magamit to siya. So black rot, so causal fungus niya is, ang symptoms niya is ang black rot infections can serve as avenues for soft rot entry. So black rot is considered as one of the most important diseases of crucifers. So leaves of affected seedlings turn yellow and drop off prematurely. So management, so rotate with non-cruciferous crops to allow time for debris from the previous crucifer crop to decompose. So if sa miagi nimo nga kuan imong cruciferous crops is pag human nimo harvest is lahi dapat ang imong itanom kay para dili siya mobalik ang disease, or use resistant cultivars when available. So black rot resistance cabbage cultivars have been developed. So plant pathogen-free seeds, avoid overhead irrigation. So paras na pud siya og sa uban na pud pag-manage. Soft rot. So, mo na siya causal bacterium niya. So, ang symptoms niya is rough rot occurs on all crucifer crops. So, but it is particularly damaging to Chinese cabbage and common cabbage. So, infected plant tissues first develop a water-soaked lesion that enlarge rapidly in diameter and depth. So, natawang example, wala siya nasa punuan siya nga sa ilalom na siya effect. So, management. So, remove debris and infected heads from the field. So, ang infected, dapat nimo siya i-remove para ma-avoid ang contamination. So, avoid injury to the crop. The wounds can be entry points of the bacteria. So, para sa bacteria nga, musulod ang bacteria kung na-ay wounds ang isa ka plant. So, number 9 is tip burn. So, psychological disorder niya is calcium deficiency, too much moisture, followed by very hot and sunny days. So, symptoms characterized by yellow or brown leaf margins, especially at the tip of leaf. So, wala siya nasunog sa kilid-kilid niya. So, saan siya pag-manage? So, provide uniform supply of moisture and augment soil with calcium phosphate or seaweed fermented extract. Then, dito sa cucurbits. So, nabilong ang cucumber, watermelon, muskmelon, bittergourd, and squash. So, downy mildew of melon. So, para siya sa itong una. So, causal fungus niya. So, symptoms and signs. So, symptoms occur mainly on the leaves where they begin as yellow angular spots. So, these spots eventually turn brown. So, nakita mo niyo sa example, na siya yellow and brown sa leaves. So, saan siya pag-manage? Use resistant cultivars when available. So, promote dry condition through pruning and proper site selection. Kaya ang watermelon manggod need siya og hot season.
So, powdery mildew. So, causal fungi mo na siya. Ang symptoms niya and signs, all cucurbits are susceptible to powdery mildew, but watermelon is the least affected. So, symptoms appear first as pale yellow spots on leaves and stems. So, sa example, nakita po ninyo. So, management, plant-resistant cultivars when available. So, same na siya manage nung sa uban nga. Magkano siya resistant cultivar. So, napod siya another dire. Apply fungicidal sprays of compostes, so plant extracts and horticultural oil when cultivars are grown under conditions favorable to disease development. So para sa gipahimo ni ma'am na to. So, anthracnose. So, causal fungus niya is kani siya. So, symptoms and signs. The disease is particularly damaging to watermelon, cucumber, and cantaloupe, but may also occur on other cucurbit crops. So, on cucumber and cantaloupe, leaf sessions begin as yellowish, water-soaked areas, which enlarge rapidly and turn brown and circular. So, management. So, plant-resistant cultivars when available. Balik na po siya. So, remove and burn the leaves as early as possible katong mga naay damage na katong dako na kag-effect. So, apply biofungicidal sprays when susceptible cultivars are grown under conditions conducive for disease development. So, number 4, Fusarium wilt. So, causal fungi. So, symptoms niya is plants infected with this disease exhibit yellowing of the older leaves and later of younger leaves. So, young seedlings are killed or severely stunted. So, siya pag-manage. So, use resistant varieties when available. So, same ragyapon siya. So, practice sanitation to reduce the spread of pathogen in infested soil to farm tools and workers. So, minimize field-to-field movement sa. Then, number 5, cucumber mosaic. So, causal virus niya is cucumber mosaic virus, the Victor alaphids. Other host niya is cucumber, pepper, watermelon, eggplant, other cucurbits. So, symptoms, mosaic infected leaves mottled with yellow, white, and light and dark green spots of na siya tubo nga spot sa cucumber. So, unsa siya pag-manage? So, adjust planting dates to avoid high vector population in young plants. So, adjust. So, use virus-free propagation material. So, avoid overlapping or continuous planting of sensitive species in the cropping rotation. So, dito po ta sa solanaceous. So, dito tomato, pepper, and eggplant. So, number 1, black leaf mold. So, causal fungus. Mo siya. So, symptoms and signs. Symptoms begin on lower leaves. So, the leaves roll and begin to dry. So, where siya maglukot-lukot. So, management. So, plant-resistant or tolerant cultivar or eliminate sources of infection by removing and destroying infected crop residues to prevent spread of spores. So ang mga infected leaves or crops dapat siya i-eliminate siya kung ano siya dahil kaya para dili na siya maka-infect sa uban nga crop. So, number 2, early blight. So, causal fungus niya. So, symptoms, small, dark, and circular to angular spots form that enlarge into circular lesions composed of concentric rings. So, muna siya nakita ninyo. So, management. So, treat seeds with hot water to help reduce disease incidence. So, then use disease-free transplant. So, practice crop rotation. So, mapod nga every year mag-change kag mga crops. So, mapod ni siya ang yang solution para dili mo balik na pod ang disease. So, number 3, late blight. So, causal fungus mo siya. So, symptoms and signs. Leaf lesions are irregular. So, water-soaked patches that may expand to encompass large areas of leaf. So, on fruit, lesions are firm, olive to brown, irregular shaped areas that cause its surface to have a rough, glittery texture. So, how to manage that? So, use resistant or tolerant cultivar to prevent the occurrence of the disease. So, use disease-free transplant or planting materials. Then, avoid planting tomato near potato plants. So, number 4, Cercospora leaf spots, so causal fungus. So, symptoms niya is leaf spots are circular with brown borders and light gray center. So,
Sa example, ma-produce sa example o lantaw lang mo. So severe infection kills the plant. So kung na-over na gyud ang kanang iyang infection, ang iyang effect is na possibility nga mamatay gyud siya ang plant. So unsa siya pag-manage? So treat seeds with hot water since the fungus survives on seed. So use disease-free transplant. So provide wider plant spacing and prune infected leaves and spray compost teas to delay the disease and infection. So number 5, Fusarium wilt. So causal fungi niya, nakita na siya. So symptoms. Initial symptoms are yellowing of the foliage. So as example, nakita ninyo. So vascular symptoms, torn brown and can be detected by cutting and affected stems diagonally. So, unsan siya pag-manage? So, use resistant or tolerant cultivar which is the best prevention of wilt disease, or treat seeds with hot water to reduce the disease incidence. So, follow na din siya nga, plant in well-drained soil. So, anthracnose, so nibalik to siya ganiha, like mapunto di ay. So, causal fungi niya is kani. So, symptoms, circular and slightly sunken spots appear on the ripe or overripe fruits. So, management. So, practice crop rotation. So, importante gid kayo nga nagud kay kanang crop rotation. So, put up or place stakes to allow air circulation and drying of wet leaves. So, preventive sprays of antagonist will help delay the infection. Use resistant or tolerant cultivar. So, number 6, bacterial wilt. So, causal bacterium. Mo siya. So, symptoms. Bacterial wilt occurs in scattered or groups of plants. So, the initial symptoms of the disease are wilting of terminal leaves, followed in 2 to 3 days by sudden permanent wilting. So, saan siya pag-manage? Use resistant or tolerant cultivars. Use disease-free transplant or sterilized soil medium to be used in seedling production. So, practice rotation with non-susceptible crops. So, importante kid kayo makabalota og kanang crop rotation. Then, apply compost. Very important pod. So, number 7, bacterial spot. So, causal bacterium niya. So, symptoms. Small water-soaked spots on leaves later become brown and circular. So on stems and petioles, the lesions are elliptical. So infected fruit shows small raised curky and dark lesions. So management. So use pathogen-free seeds or transplants. So practice crop rotation. So again para sa siya gyud tanan. So put up rain shelters to reduce water splash that may reduce disease severity during heavy rain. So number 8, root knot. So causal organisms. So nematode ni siya. So symptoms. Above ground, the transplants are stunted with some yellowing. So galls are formed on primary and secondary roots, become large and very obvious. So management. So use resistant cultivars, although some nematode populations may overcome resistance. So practice crop rotation. So balik na punta sa crop rotation. So use clean tools and other good sanitation practices to minimize the spread of nematodes. So number 9, tomato yellow leaf curl. So I know familiar mo ani kay hitabo gini siya tanang sa tanang tomato. So causal virus kay man siya. So Victor is white fly. So symptoms, leaves turn yellow and mottled, curl and become smaller. So flowers abort and fruits discolor. So leaf size is reduced. So unsa siya pag-manage? So adjust planting dates to avoid high Victor population in young plants. Rapidly eliminate virus infected plants or lay down reflective mulch to deter vector feeding. So number 10, sun scald. So this is a physiological disorder due to sudden exposure of fruit to direct sunlight. So symptoms niya, light-colored papery lesions appear on the exposed fruit surface. Secondary infection may occur with pathogens causing soft rot. So as example, tawa lang ninyo. So management, in very sunny season, the plant should have leaves to protect the fruits from sunburn. So practice good water management. So apply gypsum, calcium sulfate to soils with high pH and low calcium levels. So number 11, so fruit bursting. So this is a physiological disorder caused by fluctuating moisture and temperature. So symptoms: bursting of tomato fruits is prevalent in protected areas such as inside the greenhouse. So ripe fruit cracks at the stem end due to fluctuations in moisture and temperature. So example mo ni siya, wala siya sa dadaot sa kainit. So management: ensure uniform moisture levels in the soil by adding compost. So provide for good air circulation inside the greenhouse. So avoid pruning too many leaves at one time. So number 12, disorder caused by waterlogged soil. So this is a physiological disorder that occurs after heavy rains and flooding. So symptoms: infected plants show wilting and dark discoloration on affected stem, usually at the soil line. So plants wilt due to waterlogged condition wherein all the cavities are filled with water, depriving roots of oxygen. So management: so improve the drainage system to remove excess water. Then incorporate more compost or even river soil to improve drainage. So prepare raised beds in tomato production. So number 13, anthracnose or twister. So causal fungus, masya diri nara. So symptoms: white, oval, sunken lesions may occur on leaf sheds and blades. So leaves curl, twist, and develop chlorosis. So the neck elongates, a false stem siya. So bulbs are slender and may root before harvest or during storage. So management: destroy crop residue to decrease initial iniculum. So use resistant or tolerant cultivar and plant in well-drained soil. So apply compost. Then use antagonists such as trichoderma, acid treatment, and soil drenching. So number 14, purple blotch. So causal fungus, na siya diri. So symptoms start as water-soaked areas or lesions on leaves that turn brown with purplish center. So as example, klaro kaayo. So management: use resistant or tolerant cultivar. So destroy infected crop residues to decrease initial iniculum. So compost these antagonistic organisms and botanical plant extracts may help prevent and control the disease. Legumes, which is nabilong ang string bean and cowpea. So number 1, powdery mildew, fungus. Na siya sa screen. Symptoms: there are white powdery spots on the upper surface of the leaf. So the disease progress from the older to the younger leaves. So how to manage powdery mildew? So use resistant or tolerant cultivar. Follow the recommended planting distances. The number 2, cercospora leaf spot. So causal fungus niya, nagyapon sa screen. So symptoms and signs: leaf spots are brown to rust, irregular in size and shape, angular, and form a checkerboard pattern. So how to manage cercospora leaf spot? So use disease-free seeds. Plant seeds at recommended planting distances. So remove or prune infected leaves to reduce the iniculums and avoid working when plants are wet.
So in other words, as a farmer, dapat ang imong itanong is katong disease-free seedling. You should also balance and maintain the nutrient of the soil. And most importantly, farmers should practice crop rotation to avoid disease coming back and forth. So that's all in this video. This is your reporter, Chelsea Samelo. Thank you for listening. God bless.